Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation. Hello?
Hi Josh, is that you?
Yes, it is.
This is Mariusz from Riverside. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm pretty well, thank you so much. I'm just doing the interview, so I just thought, maybe I'll call Josh this time. So I'm calling.
Oh, awesome. Well, with that, thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
That's my pleasure as always.
Well, awesome. Well, of course, we're here to talk about some brand new music from Riverside, Wasteland, which is coming out the 28th of September through Inside Out. I've gotten the chance to be able to check this album out over the last week and a half, and, you know, despite everything that's been going on over the last few years, I really love the fact that you guys were able to continue on as Riverside and be able to continue to grow as a band as well. I just love everything that's going on here from start to finish. I love the callbacks to previous albums and movements that have gone on in the Riverside discography while being able to forge ahead with everything new that's going on with Riverside, and it's so great to be able to say there's a new Riverside album in 2018.
So what can I say? Thank you so much for your nice words. And yeah, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to just continue what we started almost 17 years ago. And here we go with another chapter. But this time is the chapter about not the past, but about the survivors and about people that's left. So this is the story about the new Riverside.
So, with that said, how did the songwriting process begin for this new album?
Actually, it started last year, at the end of last year, because the whole process for me started a bit before. 2016 was not an easy year for me, with all these people dying around me and some unpleasant stuff, and I just closed myself in the studio and decided to do lots of stuff, to simply not thinking about what's going on around me. And I started to work on my solo project Lunatic Soul, and I did Fractured album. Later I wanted to do another Riverside, but thought that, okay, maybe first I will do another Lunatic Soul. So I did another Lunatic Soul Under the Fragmented Sky, and then at the end I said, okay, it's about time to do something with Riverside, because we have to release this album next year. And I started to do the material for the new Riverside, and it just suddenly came out, around October, November. I think in December we've got the whole demo. And I said, okay, this is it. I thought that we couldn't do that without Piotr, and anyway, we made that. And Michał also created very, very beautiful song that we added at the end of the album, and here we go. We started to record this in a professional way in January, and around June we had the whole material. It was pretty crazy because I thought that we would have much more time, but suddenly appeared that it happened. So we have this album ready right now, and it's coming on September 28th. I think it is, it will be a story about our recent life.
Yeah, and, it's amazing, especially with, like I said, just like everything that's been going on the last few years, and some incredible albums outside of Riverside as well. I mean, I really love what you've been doing with the Lunatic Soul albums. I really love the personal touch that's been going on with those, but, it was great to see, with everything that was going on with Riverside, that you guys were able to come together as this collective and be able to really shine off more of what is possible with Riverside. And the more that I'm listening to it throughout the album, it's like I'm hearing all these different things that I hadn't really noticed before in Riverside, and there's other moments that I can call back and harken back to, like, other moments of Riverside, but just like this progression of the band being able to forge forward, it's so great to see that.
We, as you probably know, we are a trio now, And because we became a trio, we decided to find some kind of solutions, what to do to experiment more. Of course, if we hired the fourth member and we became a quartet again, probably we would do sort of, another Pink Floydish album or something like that. But I just didn't want to do that. When I just realized that this subject, this post-apocalyptic story that I always wanted to write, can be really powerful, because with this title it can be symbolic. It can be about the situation in our country, in Europe, in the world. It can be connected with the situation also in our band, because this is like a story about our band, because we had sort of the end of the world in the band. So I thought it would be really powerful, and I just wanted to do that in a different way. So we said to ourselves, okay, let's be the trio and let's find some other solutions. Let's find some other stuff that we can do, And then all these things happened. Like, okay, so maybe we will do bigger drums. Maybe we can do this weird sound of the guitar, which is the blend of the piccolo bass distortion sound and then classic electric guitar. And because I had to play the electric guitar this time in many parts, it also sounds differently, I think. And I also came up with the idea for more Slavic melodies this time, because I just wanted a bit to get rid of this Brit rock influence and focus on something which is ours. And suddenly I wanted to do more Slavic stuff, and suddenly it appeared that I do some Western soundtracks. So this is weird. But anyway, all these things, all these boundaries. Okay, we're a trio now, and we don't have so many possibilities. Forced us to do something original, I think. And thanks to this, we have a quite original album from the musical point of view, and I'm really happy for that.
And with that, when did it start to feel right to you when you were going in this new direction with Riverside? When did it all start to come together and start to feel like this was the right direction to go in?
Well, the story about this post-apocalyptic world forced me to one thing. I decided to skip the electronic influences this time. I wanted to back to the roots. I just imagined myself somewhere alone in a desert, only with the acoustic guitar, which is broken, which has rusty strings and stuff. So I just took this guitar and started to compose songs. That was the main influence, and I just wanted this album to make pretty organic, without all these electronic things that we always used here or there. And I think that was that was the main influence. And when Michael started to do keyboards, we also said, okay, let's keep the strings sound, this classic string sound. Let's remove that. So we focused only on the keyboards, on the Hammond organs, on the Rhodes, and mellotron, and that kind of instrument. And we also thought that would be nice to add a different instrument, different sound. On the previous albums, we had the saxophone, for instance. So I thought, okay, maybe let's do the violin this time. And it will fit perfectly to this death subject, or to this, deserted place, to these wasteland songs. And we found Michał Jelonek, and he helped us to create this atmosphere of kind of loneliness after the end of the world. So I think it was pretty nice. And all these things forced us to develop the songwriting. I think that I just started to focus even more on the songwriting than ever before. I just wanted to do good songs, and I don't know, The Guardian Angel or River Down Below or Lament, I think these are very nice compositions, and the continuation of the things that we started on Shrine of New Generation Slaves.
and that's just incredible to me as well. I mean, I really love the fact that, be it for unforeseen reasons, be it things that you can't control, or, just wanting to go into a new direction. I'm glad to see that creativity was able to inspire the band to be able to try out these new things, go back to your roots, try new styles and everything that's going on, and really making Riverside your own once again with Wasteland. I mean, I really love the story concept that's going on here. It's just like I love the journey that's going on throughout the album. The dark atmosphere that's going on through all of it, and all these new textures that I wasn't really expecting in Riverside, but fits so perfectly. And just again, just despite everything, I mean, I really love where you guys are at here in 2018, and with Wasteland. I mean, it just feels like the perfect album at the perfect time.
What can I say? Thank you. Such a lot of very nice thoughts and words from your side. Yes, well, I always want to do the album which fits to the right time, and which is kind of connected with my personal issues and with the story behind the band or behind my other stuff. And this is in case of Wasteland, we've got the same situation, but yeah, some things changed. I think the level of emotions is different this time. Probably, maybe this is because of the tragedy, maybe because of the fact that, I don't know, I turned 40 already, and or I grew up. The music became more mature. I always said that, with every album, that, okay, this album is more mature than before. And I just don't want to say that this is the best one, or this is the best thing that we've ever done before, and to say that the previous albums were not good. No, the previous albums are also good, but this one, I think this is the most emotional one, because there's something, beneath. There's something that this time, when you listen to that, when I listen to that, I don't feel something that someone pretends someone else. This is us, and we found a really nice original ways of expressing ourselves, which is weird because I didn't expect that, to be honest. Maybe some kind of limitation, maybe something bad that happened had to force us to do that. I don't know, but I'm happy for this result, and I think that we found a really interesting and original way of our musical expressing this time.
Oh, very much so. And again, it's so great to be able to see that. And I keep repeating myself, but I can't help it. But I'm so happy to see that you guys were able to come back together as this collective, as Riverside. And yeah, I mean, like I said before, I mean, this was the perfect album at the perfect time. And yeah, that doesn't take away anything previously from Riverside at all.
Okay, so does that mean that you like the new album?
oh yeah, absolutely. I love where this is going from start to finish. I mean, just the fact that it's like it hits all these dark overtones that you can take into so many different directions, and musically, I mean, it really feels like you guys have really grown as well. And sometimes that force of change really does bring the creativity and inspiration to new lights when you're forced to be able to do these different kind of things. And it was really great to be able to see that as well. I mean, the songwriting is just top notch to me on this album. I love the way it all comes together as this collective story, and musically as well. I mean, just like hitting so many different territories and different styles, and that's what I really appreciate about the album. I can go from it to start to finish like any other Riverside album and really appreciate everything that's going on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm very happy for the final result. This is I think all I can say right now. Maybe I should mention one thing, that before we started to work on this album, we really wanted to find something different this time, and all this stuff with the lower singing, with a bigger drums sound, with this weird sound of the guitar, electric guitar mixed together with some piccolo bass, distortion piccolo bass, different kind of melodies. All these things were on purpose because we thought that it's time for changes, you know. The worst thing that we could do would be if we, I don't know, released or do a copy of the previous albums, like for instance, Second Life Syndrome, right? To prove that nothing happened. No, lots of things happened, and we are a different band now, and we should just simply play as a different band. But of course, we lost very important voice, because I know that Piotr Gudzinski, as a guitar player, for many people was the most important voice in the Riverside band. But we lost the voice, but the musical core, the main core, stayed the same. You know, I was always the main composer in this band, and from this point of view, nothing changed. So the Riverside soul, if I can say that, stayed the same, but with different clothes, with different, you know, expressions this time. But fortunately, and I have to mark this, that because of the guests, because of the fact that Maciej Meller, who plays live shows with us, said yes to his guest performances, and he played very beautiful solos on the guitar. Mateusz Owczarek also was a part of one song, and Michał Jelonek, the violinist. He created great atmosphere. Thanks to this, I think Riverside became this is still Riverside. You can hear that this is Riverside, but you can also hear that this is the different part of the story. Probably the beginning of, I don't know, maybe new trilogy, maybe new chapter. But that's the beautiful thing about the music, about the searching for different solutions. I always wanted to do that, and I said before, okay, with Shrine of New Generation Slaves, we did this and that. Totally new. And with Love Through the Time Machine, we decided to do this and that. But it's never been so, you know, so much as on Wasteland. On Wasteland is much more, you know. We just like get rid of this Brit rock influences and create a different sound, which is, I think, original, the most original than ever with Riverside. And it's really hard to find a comparison to other bands. It was very easy for Riverside to compare us to, I don't know, Porcupine Tree, Dream Theater, and some other bands in the past. But now with this album, it's not so easy. I don't think so. So, which means that it's pretty okay. For me as an artist, it's a compliment.
Oh yeah, and I love the fact, you know, again, you know, despite it all, I mean, you guys were able to move forward with the band musically as well, and be able to make an album that you really, like you said, you can't really compare to like Porcupine Tree or Dream Theater or other bands. I mean, you can only compare it to Riverside now, because this is a continuation of Riverside, and being able to forge ahead with your own collective original sound that is this brand new chapter of the band, where you're able to incorporate all these different things that are going on, and it still sounds like Riverside.
And I'm really glad of that.
Absolutely. So, with that said as well, I mean, that's why I was so glad to see that Veil of Tears was chosen as a single to be able to represent this album, because I remember hearing that, and it was almost a complete shock to me hearing a song like that coming off from Riverside, because I was not expecting anything like Veil of Tears when I was expecting the new album. And the more I listened to it, the more it was a welcome change as well, because I love when a band is being able to really show off their creativity and inspirations, especially when they come from new areas as well. And I think even though it doesn't represent the entire album, it does represent where you guys are going in this new collective of Riverside.
That's why we chose this single as the first one. I just didn't want to choose this single as the first one. I mean, I didn't want to choose the different single as the first one, because after all these melancholic songs, I didn't want to do another ballad, you know. So I thought that Veil of Tears would be the perfect opening for the new Riverside chapter. And I agree with some people that they say, okay, maybe this is too flat, because there is this, you know, these emotions are not so deep on this song. But for Christ's sake, this is the part of the story only, you know. This is the small part of the story. The album, when you will listen to that from the beginning to the end, definitely the space will come back. So I do hope that judging the album should be after the whole story, not after a piece of that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't really judge a book off of one chapter. You can't judge a movie after about 5-10 minutes of it. I mean, you got to be able to enjoy it from start to finish and see what everything is about.
Exactly. Anyway, I think that Veil of Tears shows what we are now, and some more dynamic things appear on the new album, and this is what we wanted to express.
Yeah, and again, that's why I love the fact that you chose Veil of Tears as a single, because, it's like, it does show off what's going to be possibly happening in the future for Riverside, but again, just like we both said, it's just like, it's one piece of this album. When you go back, there's going to be moments that, older Riverside fans that want that style, it's there, but in different ways, but it's also just this continuation of where the band is going and everything, and everything just fits the story that's being told. I mean, it feels like such a great soundtrack to this post-apocalyptic world.
Riverside for me, I will answer in this. I will answer this question. Maybe there was no question, but anyway, let me answer this that way. For me, Riverside is a genre which I called always melancholic rock. Sometimes it's more heavy, sometimes it's more electronic, but it's basically very melancholic. But it may be because I'm the Zodiac Libra. I always try to find a good balance between the heaviness and some mellow stuff. But basically, it's a melancholic story. I'm kind of melancholic, and this is the genre that I do. That's some melancholic music, whatever, in different shapes and different colors. And Veil of Tears is perfect because it shows both sides of that, right? We've got the very melancholic chorus, but we also had some heaviness stuff and some heavy stuff and some other stuff. So it's lots of things going on in this track. So I just wanted to show that at the very beginning of the new story.
And once again, I find that to be such a welcome change for the band. I mean, no matter what direction that you guys were going to be going in, I probably would have been able to find something to really appreciate about the album. But the fact that you have really chosen to decide to write the music that you want to write, the story that you wanted to tell, the music that you wanted to write, everything together, I'm glad to see that despite it all, that you were able to continue going forward with the stories that you've wanted to tell with Riverside without feeling that compromise of having to do something from the past or just appeasing the fans, but just continuing on what's going to be best creatively for Riverside.
This is what we do, and this is what we always going to do. I do hope until the moment when I say, okay, this is the end, right? I think we don't want to repeat ourselves, so probably we should end our story. So far, Riverside didn't say the last word, and I think Wasteland is a proof that we still have lots of things to say.
Absolutely. So, again, with that said, the album Wasteland comes out September 28th through Inside Out Music. But once the album comes out, what's going to be next for Riverside?
The tour, obviously, because we are playing the tour in the midst of October and November. And later we're going to play the cruise in February, Cruise to the Edge for the first time. In March, April, we're going back on tour, and in May, I think we are going to play the tour in US finally. So we have a plans to come back to your country, just to be sure. So I just want to promise you that we are thinking of that. So this is not the end, but definitely we're going to play lots of shows and try to find out how Wasteland songs sound live.
Oh, and first, with the North American stuff, that just makes me so happy to see that, too, because one of my favorite sets that I ever saw was you guys playing at Prog Power a few years back. I mean, being able to play off of that album and, just really get that set going for that day, I mean, it was one of my favorite sets that I've ever seen. So the fact that you guys are at least attempting, if not already have things scheduled and lined up for another North American run, that just makes me so happy to see that.
glad to hear that. Thank you.
And with that, I mean, what's that going to be like for you to be able to incorporate songs from Wasteland into the set now?
I don't know. We will find out. We're just starting to preparation. We are starting preparations on the beginning of September. At the beginning of September, and we will try for sure to do some surprises and do lots of stuff that we can, thanks to these songs, I think we can cooperate more with the audience this time. So I'm really looking forward to hear these songs, especially, I don't know, the title songs should be one of those big closure of the set list. So we will see how it will work.
Oh, definitely. So, also thinking about that as well, I mean, obviously, in between Riverside albums, I mean, you were able to do more of your other work as well, especially Lunatic Soul. After being able to play with Riverside coming up here in 2018 and into 2019, are you just going to be focusing on Riverside for that being, focusing on the new album, or is any of your other material coming up in the works?
I don't know that yet, I'm just considering the album under my own name, but definitely I need to break this pattern of Lunatic Soul / Riverside / Lunatic Soul / Riverside / because always the same. I even broke this pattern with the double Lunatic Soul album recently, but I think that it's time maybe to focus more on Riverside and some other stuff. So the plans for the new studio, don't know that yet. Maybe the new Riverside, maybe something different totally. But for now, I try to, take some rest and a bit chill with the new stuff, because I did, the last year was pretty intense for me, Within 1 year, I released 3 albums. It's a lot. So I should just simply say, okay, just chill, man. Just search for some other nice ideas. Don't be so rushed. Don't be in a hurry. And I try to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if that creativity and inspiration is there, I mean, always at least get, the ideas down, because, whether you record something next week or next year or whatever the case is, you want to be able to have those no matter what the project or album is going to be. But, yeah, I mean, you got 2 amazing Lunatic Soul albums in the last year. You got, a phenomenal new album here with Riverside. It's just if you feel like you need to rest up, play some shows and be able to just sit back and look back at what you've done, you've definitely earned it.
Yeah, but knowing myself, just after this conversation, I will start to work on the new material. So probably it's not going to happen with this all resting and promising. But anyway, I'll try to do my best to at least slow down a bit. So anyway, thank you for your nice words.
Oh, absolutely. And with that, I think that's a fantastic note to end on. Thank you so very much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in the world of Riverside, including the brand new album Wasteland, which is coming out September 28th through Inside Out Music. I absolutely love this album. I know it's going to go down as one of my favorite albums of the year, if not one of my favorite Riverside albums to date. And it was amazing to be able to talk to you again about everything that's going on. A little bit about Lunatic Soul, but also, just seeing where everything's going to be forging ahead with Riverside, be it touring, new albums, new direction, everything that's going on. And I just appreciate you taking the time to be able to talk to me.
It's always a pleasure, Josh. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your interest. And I just want to say hello to all your, listeners, and thank you very much for doing this, because thanks to you, we can still survive.